All right, you guys. So welcome back to Simple Wealth podcast. And this is Toni Van Schoik. I'm your host with the most and bringing you all holistic information and really kind of, kicking the conventional shit to the curb. And I'm really excited because we are bringing to you things that you can do naturally, things that you can do through Mother Earth, things that you can do to get back to what we were put on earth here to do, and that is to eat clean, live clean, and just all sorts of different stuff. So I am really excited for my guest today. We have known him for a number of years. He's been here in the local area in the Low Country. He's been a farmer since 2016, and he started, and everybody knows you by Chucktown. You're Farmer Alex.
Yeah, Farmer Alex.
Farmer Alex. And so he started Chucktown back in 2020. We've been buying products from him for a very long time on a regular basis. Phenomenal food that he provides with us through his farm out here you're in Almondale, right?
I'm
McClellanville, technically. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Alex, you're a family man. You've been running the farm now for a number of years. And just tell me a little bit about you and how you kind of got into it.
Okay. So I was actually in a Bible college when I was in my early 20s, training to be a preacher. And when I was in Bible college, I started to realize that food affected us way more than I ever thought. I mean, my freshman year, it was like hot dogs and ramen noodles. And then I started making all these hippie friends in college, as you do. And so they started talking to me about like the man and the big ag, big pharma, talking about all this corruption going on in the food industry. I had one friend, he only ate raw meat and raw milk. And that was like his thing. And I was like, this guy's crazy. I'm over here with ramen noodles. And so I started asking a lot of questions. I'm naturally kind of a curious person. Mm-hmm. So I ask a lot of questions anyway. And the more I dug into this, I was kind of shocked by the layers of corruption within food in America. And then I started noticing how sick everyone was, mm-hmm. and all these autoimmune issues that people were having. And then I started getting into the damage that our agriculture does to the soil, to the air quality, to the water quality. All these problems are stemming from the way that we grow our food. And so I kind of put the preacher thing to the side for a while. And I said, I guess I just have to become a farmer. And so after I finished my graduation, because I always have to finish, even if it takes me 5 years to read a book, I'm still going to finish the last freaking page. Sure. So I finished the degree, even though I didn't want to become a preacher. And I decided I'm going to be a farmer, but I had no idea. I didn't grow up on a farm. No one's farmed in my family for like 4 or 5 generations. And so I had to learn from scratch. Mm-hmm. And it's probably a good thing because I didn't have to unlearn anything. So I ended up signing up for an internship pretty close to where I grew up. And I learned how to do everything in about 6 months. It's a full on 60 hours a week that you work with these people internship. Then I started farming. They actually hired me afterwards. I ran a farm for them for 3 years. And then I started Chucktown after that. So it was like late 2019 that we started this business.
And so, okay, so you're going from,
that was a lot.
Yeah. No, because I want to unpack this really.
Yeah.
Because, especially when you're an independent farm, you are a business owner.
Yeah.
You are an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
So tell me some of those obstacles that you had to overcome in learning the process.
Oh my gosh. All the computer stuff. Uh-huh. I mean, it's ungodly the amount of time as a farmer that I spend on the computer. It's probably 50% of my time.
Really?
So I had to learn all the finances, all the insurance, all of the sales and the marketing. That's the stuff that was really the hardest because you can kind of ask your buddy how to set up your LLC and do these things that you set in place and they're done. But then marketing and sales, holy crap. It's just every day you have to hustle to be able to sell the products that you produce. And so that's probably been the hardest thing for me, is learning how to market, sell, and get efficient with selling the production, because I already got pretty good at producing the stuff, but then I had freezers and freezers full of meat. So I had to learn how to figure out how to sell all this
Yeah,
stuff
you had to
too.
figure out how to move it, right?
Yeah. So that's been the biggest hurdle. After 5 years now, I finally feel pretty comfortable with what we do. A lot of stuff is streamlined, but I was still answering emails at 10 o'clock at night last night. So it's not like it's easy peasy now, and I just go sit on the tractor for hours a day.
No, I mean, that's being an entrepreneur too.
Yeah.
And you're 5 years in, so I'm sure that you're still bootstrapping a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We are a lean machine.
That's awesome. So, and again, I know that there are a lot of people that are looking to grow, even taking a portion of their yard or having raised beds, growing their own stuff, or doing some homesteading. So what could be some very simple things that our listeners could do in order to do that?
Yeah.
Just some like 3 to 5 things.
Well, first it starts with an attitude of you want to, attitude. If you don't want this really bad, it's not going to work. Like the first time that the greenhorn worms show up on your tomatoes and they eat all the leaves off your tomato plant and your whole plant dies. If you don't have a dedication to want to grow your own food and grow healthy food for you and your family, you're going to give up. So that's where the attitude's where it starts. But then you can you either go chickens or backyard garden. Okay. Those are the first things. Don't do anything exotic at the beginning. God forbid you get like guinea hens or your own like Jersey cow if you want to milk a goat every day or something like that. Don't start exotic. Simple laying hens, and then start with like tomatoes and cucumbers and squash and see how that goes. Like the most basic stuff. There's tons of stuff you can watch on YouTube on how to do this. That's where I tell people to start. Get your feet wet first. Mm-hmm. Like one of the scariest things is if I have a friend that was eating Burger King last month, now he says he wants to have his own farm or his own garden, and he's starting with bok choy and I don't know, like butternut squash and different things. Like just go simple at first, mm-hmm. and make sure this is really something you want to do, because it is way more work than you think. It's not put the seed in the ground, harvest tomatoes 60 days later.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've had tower gardens here at the house, and they're a lot of work.
Yeah.
So you have to be dedicated to it. It's just like, gardening. You have to tend to it every day.
Yes. Sometimes twice a day.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good to know. So, if they're just going to start with like basically like 3 vegetables or fruits or berries or whatever, how much time a day would you say that they're going to have to invest in order to reap a harvest?
Plan for an hour a day from the moment, from a month before you plant anything, mm-hmm. until you're done harvesting your last tomato. Okay. I would set aside an hour a day. Okay. So you guys hear that. So, if you're going to do your own thing, you got to plan and put it into your calendar and block out your calendar for 1 hour every day that you're going to be committed to this. Now, I want to talk about something that I know it's been around for a while, but you're hearing it more and more, and that's regenerative. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you can really help people to understand how important this is for, feeding animals, growing vegetables, even, just having land. So if you could speak to that would be great.
I see that there's 3 different styles of agriculture that we have in America. We have degenerative, sustainable, and regenerative. Okay. You can be in 3 different spots. I would guess that about 95% of our agriculture in America is degenerative. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's abusive to the land. It's abusive to the animals that are there. It's abusive to the wildlife, to the fish downstream, to the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, it is absolutely destructive the way we grow food. Mm-hmm. Everything in that grocery store is degenerative. Even if it's organic, that doesn't mean that it's actually good for the soil life, for fish, for birds. So if you want to have a system that heals the degeneration that's happened, we have to figure out ways to actually feed soil, build soil, and heal the land with the way that you grow agriculture. What's surprising is that a lot of people think that you have to be like a plant-based soy burger person to do that, which is hilarious because soybeans are actually really bad for the environment too.
Yep.
But we've been sold this idea that somehow if you're plant-based, you're like really eco-friendly and earth-friendly. And that's couldn't be farther from the truth. What we do as a regenerative farm is we try to mimic the patterns of nature. Okay. No monocrops. That's the first thing. Nowhere in nature will you ever see one type of something by itself, whether that's a sod farm, corn, soybeans, whether it's a cattle feedlot, a Tyson chicken house, it could be a Smithfield pork house. They just have one thing in one area. If you've got that, you're degenerative. You're ruining the planet. You're ruining the soil. You're causing destruction to everything around you. If you can blend different things together, then you're going to be actually feeding the soil microbes and also working with parasite loads that will, if you give soil the time to rest, then you actually won't have to medicate your animals much at all or at all. And so then you got a healthier end product too. That's not full of all kinds of crazy vaccines and medicines and stuff like that. But what we do is we rotate chickens, pigs, and cows all around on the same land. And we give the land time to rest in between each cycle. And what that does is it mows down the pasture that's already there, which, by the way, the pasture is not just one type of grass either. We got all kinds of weeds in there. We got about 12 different grasses in there. And it's a natural pasture that's already there. We haven't even planted anything at all. But what we do is we come in and we graze. The animals drop their manure, which is God's fertilizer.
Yes.
It's already good enough for what we need. But when you take the animals off the landscape and put them inside a factory, then you have way too much manure in one area. So that's when you get Smithfield ruining entire towns because of the amount of slurries that they have to build for all the manure pits. Okay. We already know that's terrible for people, for communities, for the land. But our cycle works in a way that you can go stand with the cows and it will not stink. You can go stand next to the pigs and it won't stink. You can go in the chicken house and it doesn't stink. That's like mind blowing to other people in agriculture. I mean, if you were to go in a Tyson chicken house, you'd have to wear a whole hazmat suit and a respirator just to be able to go in there and not get deathly ill from the amount of nasty smells and all sorts of fecal material that's flying around in the air in there.
Yeah.
So we try to just do a blend of different animals and we have them graze certain areas and then we move them off and give the land rest. That's our basic recipe. That's what regenerative, if you're doing a regenerative farm, you're benefiting the land that you're on currently.
Well, and like you mentioned, it makes healthier animals, which makes healthier products that we consume. So, which is better for our immune system as well.
Yes.
Not only that too, because if you read any of these things, comparatively speaking of where we were, 50 years ago, that there's no trace minerals in most of anything.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
If you test some of the lettuce or tomatoes at the grocery store, you'd barely find any nutrition at all in there.
Yep.
And a lot of that has to do with how shelf stable everything is, but also just the time away from a harvesting a fruit or a vegetable to the time that you actually eat it. It could be months between the harvest date and the time you actually eat it. By that point, almost all nutrition has totally left that. So now we have a whole country full of people just eating nutrition deficient food, and no wonder we overeat and overdrink, and our bodies are craving nutrition, but there's nothing in the food that we eat. Right. That's why people start eating the food that we grow. They start feeling better. Their bodies start working better. They have more energy. They can think more clearly. They start cutting out all the extra junk, because the food in the grocery store, not only is it deficient in nutrients, but it's also like basically a poison. There's so many different kinds of things that they mix into the food at the grocery store that is terrible for you too. I mean, it's all the sugars and the seed oils and the preservatives and the colors and the flavorings. It's just like everything in there is totally packed full of junk. And we've just created a huge problem for people in America. Unfortunately, you look at all the people who shop at the grocery stores, you got a whole host of people that are making tons of money and profiting off of this. And it's all after World War II, our whole agriculture system turned into a way that's just based off of greed, and who cares about the consequences. And we've been doing that for 80 years now. And the damage we've done in 80 years is remarkable. And so now there's a call to people saying we actually have to save the soil in America, or else it's going to be gone in about 60 more years.
Yep.
So it's scary. That kind of stuff is what got me to the point where I was like, I have to farm. I have to do something about this, because if I don't, and a bunch of other people say like, oh, I'll just let other people grow food for me, we're going to be in a really tough spot in a few years, and we'll be sick along the way too.
But that's what they want. You've got the big food conglomerates, right?
Yeah.
You eat all the food that makes you sick, right?
Yes.
So then they're going to the doctor.
Yeah.
Right. They're getting prescriptions to fix this, but then the prescriptions lead to something else. And then it's like a vicious cycle that they all of these big corporations, want us to be. They want us to be lifelong sick people.
Yes. Yeah, that's really good for their bottom line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, as a lifelong customer. So tell me the other thing, because you have small children too.
Yeah.
So now that you get to mold your children and teach them all of these things, how has that been for you as a father? That they're being raised through this.
Yeah, it's been really, really special. I mean, we just got like little baby turkeys in yesterday. So Charlie and Lucy were just like walking around with little baby turkeys around the farm. And it's kind of funny because they think it's totally normal. They haven't really realized that like other people don't have like little calves and baby turkeys and piglets running around their houses, So they are, especially Lucy, she is 6 now. She's starting to realize that there's unhealthy food and then there's healthy food, and that we prioritize the healthy food. We save the unhealthy stuff for treats. And she's really starting to want to actually be a healthy kid. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of crazy because this whole last week she was in a camp, and the snacks at the camp were atrocious. I mean, we're talking about sodas, cookies, candy, mm-hmm. and like chips. And those were like the snacks that they ate at like halftime. And it's kind of scary that's the go-to now, instead of, having some homemade biscuits or something that somebody, I'm sure there's enough grannies out there that would be happy to bake some biscuits for these kids, mm-hmm. and put a little piece of sausage on there. Yeah. But instead it's like, well, we'll just go with sodas and candy and cookies because that's convenient, it's easy, and it's cheap.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, 20 years ago when my kids were little, I was the weird mom, because I was sending them to school with like fruits and vegetables and Whole Foods, not packages of goldfish and all that other crap. Yeah. And so, that was a big deal I knew when they would sneak, because they would come home and they would be off the wall. Yeah. I'm like, don't sneak.
Yeah. I can tell.
Yeah, exactly.
I can tell what you've been eating.
Yep. And, it goes back to, and where we are right now, we deal with a lot of families, and even as adults and their children with ADHD and ADD and all of these different, challenges that these kids are having, and the depression and everything at such a young age. And it's directly correlated to what they're eating.
Yes.
100%.
Yep. I'd probably add in the screens and the Instagram and all that stuff.
Oh yeah. The phones, awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
And you see 9-year-olds with phones now. You're like, what is happening now? And they've got their own TikToks and stuff. And it's really, really horrible for your children's development, for their mental state.
Yep.
And I would say that in the combination with the food is an absolute disaster for the health of your children.
I can't remember who was talking about that. The screen time, depending on how many hours children spend on their phone or an iPad or something like that. And that correlated with depression. It was either Peterson or RFK.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which one. But they had come out with just, it's very disturbing.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, you know what, parents,
if
you're listening to this right now and you're using a screen for a babysitter, shame on you. And especially at the dinner table. There should be no screens at a dinner table.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyways, to kind of wrap this up, I want to ask you, what is in the future for Chucktown and your crusade? And I'm going to say it's a crusade because, I know people that homestead, I know people that have farms. Some of them are very good friends of mine, Michigan, Illinois, all of these different places, but because you're here local, what is your twofold question? One, what is the plan for Chucktown? And two, what are you looking to do locally to make more awareness happen?
Well, I was coming to this podcast was my main thing.
Well, we're going to blast this all over.
Fantastic.
All over.
Awesome. Love it. So the future for Chucktown is we want to continue to grow the business. We've been able to stay a debt-free business up until now and just grow organically with the customer base that we have. And they've supported us along the way. I'm very frugal, so we grow slow. But we are very aware that I think it's 85% of businesses close in their first 5 years.
Yes.
And it's probably something close to
95% by 10 years.
Yeah. So I had that percentage and that stat in my head, just hammered into my head for the first up until today, basically, because I've been aware that people get all excited about their new fancy ideas. They go ahead and get a couple $100,000 in debt to start. And then you see them filing for bankruptcy a couple years later. And I really wanted to avoid that. And for me, the whole reason I'm in this is about honesty, reality, and doing something that's good for my family, for my customers, for my community, for the land that I'm on. And so I just wanted to keep it real. And so I'm not a hype person. I'm not a big fundraiser. Give me a bunch of money and I'll do this amazing thing with it. I'm slow, organic, and real. So we just plan on keeping that going because it's working. Mm-hmm. And so we want to feed more people. We want to open our delivery zone. Our delivery zone's not very big. We don't go further than an hour away from our farm. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot of people asking us to go further places, and we'll probably open those up next year. We did open up a farm store, which is really exciting. It has been way more popular than I ever thought it was going to be. I basically had to hire people just to run the store. And I thought it was going to be like me doing office work and like stepping outside when somebody came over. And it turns out there's like on Saturday mornings, there's 40 kids there with their parents. And so it's become a bigger deal than I thought it was going to be, which is really exciting. So keep that going. And then for me personally, I also have a heart to see other farmers succeed. And so I already do a little bit of consulting on the side. Mm-hmm. And I teach a marketing class for farmers, and I want to grow that as well, because this is a movement that's way bigger than me.
Yep.
And so if I can do my part to help 200 more farms succeed and get through their first 5 years, that would make me so happy.
Well, and also too, you've done the work. So that's really important. The thing about it is that I'm sure that plenty of people could benefit from your knowledge, but I want to commend you because this is what most entrepreneurs do. Okay. Because you're never taught how to be a business owner. You're never taught how to be an entrepreneur. It is by failure. It is by mistakes that you make, that you learn from, and you have to muddle through, which I'm hoping that, with my knowledge, that I can also help, entrepreneurs, no matter where they are, and help them, realize the things that they can do and the mistakes not to make.
Yeah.
So
That helps you leap forward faster. It's like a ramp.
Yes.
That gets you past, because if you don't listen to any podcasts or read any books or ask anyone for advice, you're going to make all the mistakes that will kill you in the beginning.
Yep.
You still have to make some as you grow, but like podcast, books, talking to people, going to conferences and chatting with people will really, really radically lift you up and put you far ahead, way further ahead than if you try to do it all by yourself.
Joe, just hear what he said, because you know that I talk about this all the time, right? You've got to get out. Yeah, you've got to get out and do that. I do want to digress here for a second, because there's one question that came to mind, seeing all this stuff, and I think Idaho is leading the charge on this, but this is the government's coming in and saying, oh, well, you can't have water to your farm, or you have to kill your chickens or your cows and stuff like that. That is, it's like when they had the vaccine and mask mandate, right? So I just want to, talking about that, because that is a hot topic right now.
Yeah. Right.
So what is your advice? And this would be also for maybe other farmers or homesteaders or whatever. The government comes in and says, you have to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, you don't have to. So let me preface that that's not their right for the government to tell you what to do. But as, a person that could possibly say, South Carolina may come in and say, you know what, there's the bird flu or whatever they're calling it. You have to kill
all your chickens.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. How would you handle that situation? And what would be your advice for other people listening to this?
I didn't even know we were going to talk about this, but I have the answer for this situation.
Awesome.
It's a group called Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund. Okay. I don't even know what the acronym, Farm, FT, whatever. They are lawyers, a group of lawyers that fight for the rights of small farmers.
Okay.
And I've been a member with them since we started Chucktown. We had an issue with the state of South Carolina not wanting us to be able to butcher our own chickens, even though legally we met every requirement. They still said no. So I called my lawyer, and these guys are basically volunteers. Okay. I mean, I pay $150 a year for lawyer fees.
Wow.
That's it.
But that's really cool.
They basically do it for free.
Okay.
So I tell every farmer that I know, you got to sign up with these guys no matter what, because you want to have your lawyer ready to go if someone comes and banging down the doors and saying you can't have chickens here, or you need to kill off your dairy cows, or you need to throw that milk away. You need to have your lawyer ready to go. Farm to Consumer is the only group that I know of that does this, and they are just like, they're saints and angels. I love those guys. They fought for me. They got us our rights to butcher our own chickens, and it was within like a month. I had the certification to be able to do that. So they're awesome. If you don't have a lawyer on your side, you are screwed. So
that's a really good point. Yeah. As an entrepreneur, I always tell people you have to have professionals, a lawyer, a CPA, and also, a business litigator, business attorney too, just for all of that, to honestly be successful.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
You can't just start, like I said, you just can't start something up willy-nilly. If you have a great idea, you have to really do your research. Thank you for, addressing that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So to wrap this up, any last words of wisdom?
I would say if you're out there and you want to switch from buying food from the grocery store, or even like a big subscription box, I'll leave those guys unnamed. You need to realize that the only way that you're going to truly know 100% how that food was grown is to have a relationship with a farmer. That is the only way possible. The labeling laws in our country are so screwy that you can call things pasture raised and free range and grass fed, and it's not, and organic too. And it's not what you think of when you think of those words. If you could see an organic chicken farm, you would be appalled at what an organic chicken farm looks like. You have got to know who's growing that food, how they're growing it, what the process is. Ask the farmer all the questions you can think of. If your farmer doesn't want to answer your questions, they're not a good reliable source for you. So find a farmer's market near you, do some Googling, do some researching, find someone. The farmer's market is kind of the best way to do it. Even if you can find a good vegetable farmer, ask them who the good protein farmers are, and you can use them as a reliable source. I get a lot of people asking me where, if they live in a different state than me, they ask, where can I find a good farm to support? I say, find the farmers markets, go to 4 of them, ask around. You're going to find a really good farmer in that area and support them. It is really, really hard to make a living doing this work because we're up against a system that is set up on greed that then has produced the cheapest quality food possible. They want to squeeze as much margin out of every chicken breast that they can. So they're going to grow it as cheaply as legally possible. So for me, my chicken breast costs about 8 times more than what you'd get in the grocery store. But that's what it costs for me to make a reasonable living growing chickens. And so support them, even though their prices are going to be higher. They don't get government subsidies. They don't get handouts. They actually have to pay the full price for everything. A lot of people don't know this, but the food in the grocery store is subsidized by the government. So not only is it super cheap to begin with, then the government comes in, uses your tax dollars to make it even lower in the name of providing enough calories for enough people at a price that's good enough. But if you go to a store and there's a rotisserie chicken for $5, it's, something's wrong because it cost me $12 to raise a chicken. Not just to sell it, but just to raise it. Then I have to pay processing fees. Then I can sell it. So my chicken ends up being $24. They have one already cooked for you for $5. So there's something screwy going on there. And so that's the biggest hurdle for people trying to switch over to supporting a local farmer is the cost usually. So you need to know you're dedicated and that you want to do this. And then if the money is a big problem, buy in bulk, volunteer at the farm a couple of days and ask them if they'll take 10% off your bill. Like, talk to your farmer, see what you can do to save as much money. Get into like slow cooked meats that are way cheaper than your ribeyes and your New York strips. And there's a way to do it. You just have to be a little savvy.
Yeah. Creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do want to say one thing though, regardless, you can't put a price on health, right?
No,
this is long-term prevention. And so when you look at it from this perspective, okay, and everything, I would say that probably 85% of everything that you can find in a conventional store has some sort of toxin or something in it regardless. Okay. So you're going to pay for it either way. You're either going to pay for it by being sick all the time, or you know what, have the prevention, have the foods that are better for you. You have more clarity, you have better digestion, better gut health, better brain health, all of the things. So it's so funny because, we have been really focusing on gut and brain health. And one of my friends just got off like 5 medications.
Wow.
So where's the savings in that?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Depending on the medication that they're taking, they could be hundreds of dollars a month.
Exactly. But when you're nourishing yourself with food like this, you're going to find that you don't have to take medication. Yeah. That's a huge deal.
It's wild.
I know.
Yeah. I follow a lot of like the carnivore guys and the animal-based guys, and the amount of testimonies that they have from switching people to like a standard American diet, which we call the SAD diet, to eating whole foods, nose to tail animals, no junk, cut the seed oils out, cut the sugar out. All of a sudden, their medical bills start going down. Their grocery bill went up, but their medical bills went down. So it's like, who would you rather support, and how do you want to feel?
Yep.
Do you want to feel healthy and strong, or do you want to be sick and reliant on this corrupt system the rest of your life? It's a great opportunity to take care and to take control over your own health. It starts at the dinner table. So
one other thing that you mentioned about the SAD diet.
Yeah.
Okay. So there are studies out now that the standardized American diet is 25% of skin cancer.
Wow. It's the cause of 25%.
25% is the cause of 25.
Yeah.
It's probably even higher. It's probably even higher. I think that's probably a conservative number.
Yeah.
And then, when you hear people talking about, slather on sunscreen and wear sunglasses, that's another huge thing that makes your immune system completely.
Things that humans have never done in thousands and thousands of years. All of a sudden, that's one thing that I harp on a lot is when people try to tell you that the standard is this new invention, that's crazy to me, because we've evolved as humans to be healthy and strong people. And for you to have to rely on some crazy chemicals to live and to be a healthy person, that person's full of crap, because that is not the way that we've evolved as humans.
Nope.
It's amazing the amount of people you see having skin cancer on their chest. Few people have skin cancer on their chest. They're like, I always wear sunscreen, always wear long sleeves, and I got skin cancer on my chest. I'm like, well, maybe there's something other than the sun that's getting to you. So that's pretty amazing. 25%.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Closing words of wisdom.
I appreciate you having me, and I love talking. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come here, kind of spread my message and just encourage people. My words of wisdom is: you're in charge of your own health. You're in charge of your family. I would not let anyone else tell you what to eat, how to eat, and what to do. It's all up to you. And so do your research, find a farmer, try to eat the healthiest food possible.
Awesome. Now, where can they find you? Because I know you're at Local Joe's, right? Locally. Yep. You're at the farmer's market every Tuesday from 3:30 to 7.
Yes.
Okay.
Moultrie Middle School.
Yes. And then also too, your farm hours are in the fall.
Yes.
Correct?
Yep. So we'll start the farm store back up in the fall. But we have a home delivery program that goes all year round.
Yeah. And that's through barn to door.
Yeah.
So they come visit me on my front porch a couple of times a month.
Yep. So chucktownacres.com. You put your order in, and we have it's basically the Amazon of meat. You just scroll through meat and eggs. We also have a subscription that people can sign up for, and you choose if you want it weekly, bi-weekly, or once a month. And we will just literally bring the stuff right to your front door. And that's year round.
And then your Instagram is at Chuck Acres.
Chucktown Acres.
Chucktown Acres, yes.
Yep. Yeah. We got Facebook and Instagram. Even though I'm not a huge social media lover, I still use it as a way to educate people on what we do, show them what the animals look like, have the transparency there, and then just do some food education as well.
Plus, it's free advertising.
Yeah, it's free. Brand building.
Yes, exactly.
I say Instagram's great for brand building, not so great for sales for farms, but it really, really gives people an understanding of what your business is about, what you stand on, and why you do what you do. So
awesome.
It's great. Thanks for having me.
Farmer Alex. It was great having you here today. That's what that's what I call him. He's known by Farmer Alex.
I love it.
Yeah. But thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your expertise and knowledge. It was wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
All right, you guys, you know where to tune in. Simple Wealth. Make sure that you share this all over Apple, Spotify, YouTube, on effingsimple.com, and all over social media. So you guys take care. Love you. Bye-bye.